Hoy hoy everyone, welcome back to Fantasyland News. Make sure you hit subscribe, all that other good stuff you're supposed to say. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, here's my big blue head. Figured I'd show it for once on here on YouTube. Fantasylandnews.com. You can go read all these articles. Today is June 12th. Yesterday, June 11th, we got over to the AMC 24 over at Disney Springs. Got to watch the brand new Inside Out 2 Disney Pixar movie. And the reviews are not allowed out until 3 p.m. It is now 3 p.m. I can now give you the review. So Inside Out 2, is it a return to form? But does it capture the magic of the first Inside Out? I'm giving you a 2-generational review, basically. Went with my daughter and my wife. My daughter, 17, got to go see it with us. It was, got to make sure I put this out there. It was part of a D23 event over. So if you were a D23 Gold member, you got a chance to go score tickets for this, and they were free. So not only do we get to review this, but we got to do it for free. So anyway, this is spoiler free. There is one minor scene spoiler towards the end. I will warn you before I do that, but wanted to make sure you guys all know. Let's start this off. Pixar and Disney's animated movies have taken a beating in the press and on online communities over the past few years. It has shown up in less than stellar performances at the box office. That does not mean that the movies released were not good, because in our opinion, a lot of those movies were good. Pixar's Onward, Soul, Luca, they all languished at the box office because of a global pandemic. Turning Red suffered from an online outrage because storytelling that parents thought should be off limits. The same goes for Lightyear, a 1-second kiss between two women that drew the anger of almost the same exact people who were mad at Turning Red. The backlash just grew, with parents and politics playing an unfortunate role in all the decisions that people were making with their hard-earned money to be spent at the box office. Pixar's Elemental did better at the global box office, but it was not the smash hit that people were hoping for. It's been a tough 5 years for the franchise, for Pixar. Obviously, it is being seen by every film at the global box office. They're just less than stellar. Notice I did not mention storytelling in all those films. Every single one of those stories was well thought out, but for some odd reason did not connect on to the emotional side to turn them into instant classics like previous films like Toy Story or Finding Nemo, Coco, Brave, Up, WALL-E, The Incredibles, and especially the original Inside Out. Which brings us to June 14th. You can buy tickets now to go see Inside Out. It is coming to theaters on June 14th. Actually, we're going to go back one day to June 11th, 2024, when we got a chance to see the movie ourselves. I want to take a moment to give you guys a chance to understand who's writing this and who's giving you this review. First, a father of 5 with kids who are above 17 and older. The oldest one's 27, almost 28. So there you go. Father of 5. Youngest one, 17 years old, my daughter, Rory. She went with us last night. She actually wrote part of this review with us. So her mother and I have raised kids almost successfully. You got to ask my kids if I have been a successful father or not. But anyway, we have dealt with the tropes of growing up 5 times over. And if you really count ourselves going through it, it's 6 times we have gone through these emotions of growing up. Anyway, Rory went with us to see Inside Out 2 at AMC 24 in Disney Springs. And I figured I'd bring her voice into this. Anyway, let's get into this. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2 returns to the mind of the newly minted teenage Riley just as headquarters is undergoing a sudden demolition to make room for something entirely unexpected. New emotions, joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust, who have long been running a successful operations by all accounts, aren't sure how they feel when anxiety shows up, and it looks like she's not alone. It is directed by Kelsey Mann and produced by Mark Nielsen and is scored by Andrea Datzman. Inside Out 2 releases June 14th, 2024. That's the official press release. Let's get on to our review. There, again, no spoilers, minus one small scene that we're going to talk about. Let's get into this. Let's really get into this. Hopefully this will help you decide how much you want to see this. I don't want to give anything away or do a scene-by-scene talking points. What I do want to say about Inside Out 2, it hits hard. It hits, not just emotionally, but in how emotions can be dealt with. Inside Out 2 reflects what many people go through when dealing with mental health or cognitive disabilities or just by being alive, everyday people. Meg Lafrave and Dave Holstein wrote the screenplay with a story conceived by director Kelsey Mann and Lafrave herself. Obviously, they spent time talking with mental health professionals, along with talking to teenagers, which I just learned about this, and I want to tell you about this. The filmmakers had a group of 9 girls called Riley's Crew, which I think is amazing. They have been watching the film since inception in 2021. They would be sent a screener of it. They would watch it, write down in their notebooks, take notes, send it back to the producers and the director, and then they would incorporate what they thought was good and bad to add to the film. So they got a real perspective of girls between the ages of, I believe it was 9 and 17, and everything that they're going for. A lot of diverse backgrounds on that. What Inside Out 2 does get right, though, is how all the emotions, when working together, make for a better person. It is combined emotions that set a person's beliefs for life. And we see how these emotions and beliefs can be changed and adapted over the course of a person's life. In this case, a young girl named Riley, who is now 13, her childhood is over. Even as her set of belief structure and emotions want her to stay a child forever, Joy, our blue-haired, overzealous leader of emotions, does all she can to keep Riley happy, even when she knows that sometimes anger, fear, disgust, and especially sadness must take over. The structure comes crashing down around Joy when new emotions of a growing up Riley show up when puberty hits. Now, parents, don't worry. They do not go into anything that adults need to discuss with children or kids first, a la turning red. This leads us on an adventure across Riley's mind where we are introduced to new characters. It is during this adventure that even the original emotions grow up a little. We see the most growth from Joy, which reflects the original Inside Out story that Joy must accept that she is not the only emotion. And for her and Riley to grow as a human, they must evolve and become better. Riley is going through the normal teenage angst phase, being the best in class, best at hockey playing, the best star in and out of school. She's dealing with old friends while trying to fit in with new friends. That weird phase between middle school and high school that we've all gone through. That time frame is scary, where you're leaving everything that you've known and being thrown into the proverbial deep end of the ocean. No longer are you in a cloistered space, but now that space is exponentially larger. Being a teenager is hard at times in life. Where do you fit in? Who are you? How do you stay who you are while becoming a better person? This is all reflected in emotions. Anxiety, which we all know well, trust me, takes over and does it all, as it does. Anyway, let me start that. Anxiety, which all of us know well, takes over as it does to all of us at some point. Embarrassment shows his big head. Embarrassment is everything we do and our parents do can all lead to this emotion taking over. The other new emotions of envy, ennui, and probably the funniest new emotion, nostalgia. Nostalgia is great in this movie. They all play a huge part in Riley's development. It is the battle between joy and anxiety that makes this movie an instant classic. We all know that battle well. Sometimes we just want to be joyful and happy, but anxiety about everything can take over our brains and make us do strange things or even normal things, just not how we'd anticipated them to be done. Joy has her own reckoning and a very powerful scene that spoke to me in a way I did not expect. To the point, as a grown man who has suffered with brain damage and cognitive health problems in the past, they come along for the ride, all these emotions and this baggage. I, like many people, wish nothing but to be joyous and to show all those around us how happy we truly are. But under that joy is a ball of anxiety and pain. It is how we deal with those emotions that is reflected in Inside Out 2. Now, here's a small spoiler. Fair warning, brief, nothing major. It is a 2-second scene that I'm about to talk about, but there is a small spoiler here. I want to say one final point before I turn over to Rory so she can do this. She's probably not going to show up on screen, but I'm going to read her words to you. Anyway, there's a scene in the movie where Riley is having a panic attack. It's probably the first panic attack she's ever had. And without giving away anything on the whys, we don't want to do, trust me, I don't want to give anything away there. There are maybe a few seconds that spoke volumes to me about the lengths the writers and the directors have gone to understand how people go through in these situations. If you have ever had a panic attack or have gone to therapy, or maybe you've read online about calming mechanisms or coping, there's a 5-step process that people have been using for years. First is acceptance. Then you want to slow down your breathing, bring yourself back to reality, touching your physical surroundings. You want to review the situation. Like, those are the 5 steps in the easiest understandable terms. I'm not a therapist. Don't quote me. Anyway, in the scene, for a brief second, you can see Riley just stop and just puts her hand on the bench that she's sitting on. The world slowly comes back to reality and it kicks in. And this hand on the bench spoke volumes to me personally. That minor, small, itty-bitty scene that could have passed by in a blink of an eye has been used by someone like me almost daily for 7 years. It is that connection with something solid, that connection in knowing you will be okay for that moment. This is what Inside Out 2 means to me, and I think it gets across to the audience. It is a connection to each other, and Pixar has done an amazing job of connecting that human experience into an hour-and-a-half movie. We all know these emotions. We all know the story being told. We've all gone through this, and seeing it reflected on the big screen is what Disney does. When they're on their game, they do it the best. Inside Out 2 is well thought out piece of art and storytelling, and I, for one, am joyful to see myself, my family, my friends, my fellow human beings being represented in a film that can make us laugh and cry and reflective at the same time. I can only say this is a summer blockbuster. Without all the souped up, over the top action thriller, bang, bang, summer is known for. This is for kids of all ages who will enjoy Inside Out 2. Parents can enjoy it while watching with their teenagers, as their teenagers are going to roll their eyes at certain scenes. But if those parents are anything like we are, and their kids are anything like our kids are, when this movie is over, I can almost guarantee you an extra hug and a thank you from the younger ones who watch this movie with you. By the way, Rory would like to add, as a teenager, she went into Inside Out 2 with high hopes. She was blown away by how hard it hit her. She did not realize how true to life it would turn out to be. Having just gone through some of the exact same coming of age stuff that teens have to go through, she felt closer to the story than she expected. So, how do we rate Inside Out 2? If I had a rating system, which I don't yet, so we'll figure out one. On this one, I'm giving 5 blue-haired joys out of 5. Tickets are on sale now. June 14th is the opening date. Trust me, this is an instant classic from Pixar. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you all so much for watching and listening, especially if you made it this far. Congratulations, you made it to the end. Thank you from all of us here at FantasylandNews.com. We appreciate it. You can find us at FantasylandNews.com or TheFanaticsBlog.com for all your latest in Disney Parks news and Walt Disney Company entertainment news. Please like, subscribe, share this out, all the normal things you have to say. And again, go to Fantasyland News on Instagram. Please go to our Facebook page. I know we're old people. Facebook page, hit subscribe. Again, that's Fantasyland News on Facebook and Instagram. And we hope you have a magical day.